Okay, let's look at some cables and configuring some, in this case we're going to do some EIDE drives, and this is our old friend Frankenstein, our old file server here. But notice that this is a floppy cable. I don't really use this floppy drive, but just for the purpose of demonstration. It's a much smaller cable. It doesn't have the 40 pin connection that the IDE has. See, if I try to put it on there, it's not going to fit there. It's a little too small. Not really using that, but let's pull our IDE cable here. This is our IDE cable, and it's got 40 pin connectors on both sides. So we're going to daisy chain this configuration. This particular machine is a file server. It's got 3 hard drives and only 2 IDE ports, so we have to daisy chain 2 hard drives together on one, and a hard drive and a DVD burner on the other IDE port. But basically, here's an IDE cable. It's a 40 pin connector. Let's take our hard drive here. Good hard drive. And this is a 160 gigabyte Barracuda, 3.5 inch drive. Most drives you will see have some type of a legend on it, and they'll tell you how to configure it as master, cable select, or slave. If you configure them both as cable select, then based on the order you plug them in, that will determine which drive is master and which is slave. I kind of like to do everything manually, so I don't like any automatic voodoo going on. I guess that's just my personal preference. So usually what I'll do is I'll configure one. I will jumper it as master, and I'll jumper the other one as slave, and just kind of leave the cable select method. But other people prefer cable select. In this case, this tells me, if you can see, that if I were going to jump this or short these 2 terminals here with the jumper, and it's just a little metal bar that connects those 2 jumpers, it shorts them or completes the circuit, then that makes this master. And if I don't jump that, then it makes it slave. And then if I move it to the second terminal and I jump that, it makes it cable select. So what I want to do is I want to go here and I want to jump this terminal. And also notice, if you're in doubt or you're confused by this, look at the position of the Molex power connector on the legend here. And notice that, here are my pin configurations. So I want to be the pin farthest away from the Molex connector. So I turn it around. Here's where my IDE cable inserts. Here's the Molex connector. The pin farthest away from it, or the 2 pins, is right here. So if I want to jumper this as master, I need to connect or complete the circuit right here on these 2 pins. So I do that. Just put that on there. And if you have small fingers, it's not a big deal. You may want to use tweezers for this. So here's my master drive. Now my master drive will be configured, in this case, it would be the first connection on my IDE cable. Now I also have another hard drive. This is a 300 gigabyte drive, just for storing data and different files and things. This is configured as slave, and if you look at the particular legend here, no jumper makes it a slave. And so I've completely removed the jumper here. So this drive is manually configured as slave. This drive is manually configured as master. We're going to go ahead and pop this drive in here. Drive assembly just pops out of my main board. And we'll pop the screws in. Put some screws here. If I'm not wearing a ground wrist strap, this drives, as far as components go, are not as sensitive as things like memory or CPUs to static electric discharge. But I would still recommend grounding yourself out if you think you've built up any static. One of the things, of course, they are susceptible to is magnetic fields. So we want to keep these things away from any strong magnets. One of the pranks we used to do to each other in school was to take little refrigerator magnets and pop them on each other's hard drives. It's not a very nice thing to do. It would not necessarily destroy the data on the drive, but it could cause it to malfunction and all kinds of strange problems. But just be aware, if there are strong magnetic fields in your area, then that's something that you probably don't want around your hard drive. Okay, this is in the drive assembly. I'm going to go ahead and connect the cable. And because of the way this is configured, even though it's not necessarily convenient, the master drive I need to configure here. And also notice the cable, there's a little notch here. Notice the pins, the way they move in. And that's because you can see that in the configuration there's one missing pin in the middle. But you just want to make sure that you match that up. And we'll twist that a little bit. But and be careful you're not too hard on it. If you twist it too hard, you can damage the connecting wires inside the cable. And then this part just connects to the main board. So let's turn this on its side. Doing this on the kitchen table, and I have to dodge the salt shaker. And here we just want to go ahead and take this cable and plug it right in here. And this is IDE port 1. Remember that we can daisy chain, so we're daisy chaining here. On IDE port 1, I've got the master boot drive with the master boot record on it. And it's got 3 different operating systems: Linux, Ubuntu, Windows Vista, and Windows XP. And then here's the second IDE port right here. And we have 2 drives. We have another 300 gigabyte drive daisy chained here, and a DVD burner. And in this case, the drive assembly just pops back in. And then the next thing you want to do is check this in the BIOS. So we're going to go into the CMOS. You know, just in case, maybe we didn't configure something right, or maybe we didn't jumper something right, or maybe we have a bad cable or something.